Okay, so in the last video we used this block that we created in Scratch as a guide for building a method in Greenfoot that accomplishes the same thing. And we saw that we could use this method, this class method, as a condition. This is a little bit complicated because since it's a class method, we have to give the name of the class, and also it takes an argument. So I just want to show you a simpler if statement using an instance method, a method that belongs, that each object knows how to do. So let me just bring up FatCat here for a second. So FatCat has these Boolean, these methods with Boolean return values. Any of these can be used as conditions. And notice they don't have any parameters, and they actually belong to the cat because we can bring them up in this drop-down menu. So we can create a method in here that just says, well, let's see, what conditions do we have? Cat. Let's just check. So let's just check is bored here for a second. So he is bored. Is bored is true. So when we start up the scenario, he is bored. So so we can use is bored as our condition. And what do we have him do when he's bored? So to find out something to do, we look for something with a void return type. We could make him sleep, let's say. And sleep needs a parameter. It needs an integer here. So we can say sleep 3. Okay. So we'll make our condition. So remember how to make an if statement. We say if we have our condition is in the parentheses, and then after that we have our block. And we know we did that bit right because we have our nice purple rectangle like this. So our condition is going to be if is bored. And because is bored is a method, it needs parentheses, but there were no parameters here for is bored. Let's just double check that. So is bored, it is a Boolean, so we can use it for a condition, and there are no parameters here. It just says is bored. So we can just write it like that. And the other thing we can do actually is if we double click on cat, we can get the documentation mode, whichever mode you were in. If you switch to documentation mode, you can see here is bored, and it shows you, there are no parameters, and it's a Boolean return type. So that's another view you can get of the, what a cat can do. But anyway, oops, that's not what I wanted to look at here. Scratch. So if he's bored, then we will sleep. And sleep took an integer parameter we saw. So let's just sort an argument, and we can give it a number like 3 and then a semicolon. We can compile that. And so now if we just click the act button, it'll do this. It'll check to see if he's bored, and if he's bored, it'll sleep. So I'm going to click the act button. And there he goes. 1, 2, 3. 3 sleeps. Okay. So that's how we can use an instance method. And again, depending on if it needed parameters, we would have to give an argument here, just like we gave an argument for just like we had to give an argument for isKeyDown, because that needed a string that had one parameter that had to be a string. So we gave it a string parameter, and it was static, a static method, so we had to say greenfoot dot isKeyDown. But so that's one kind of method with a Boolean return type, a class method. And then the cat one for FatCat, because isBoard is one of the cat methods, one of the cat's methods, and my cat is a cat, then we just needed to write isBoard. We didn't need to give the class name, because it's not a static method. And you can see it, there's no static keyword either, right? It just says public Boolean. It doesn't say public static. So we didn't need to use the class name, and it didn't have any parameters. There's no parameters in here, so we just could write it like that.